What's going on, guys? Big welcome to you all to our channel. We are team pushing the meta. You're you with D-Boy, and we are back with another video. This time we will talk about the match that I talked about when we let the Overlord deck face the one and only Bruce deck. So now we have the trial decks. The trial deck from V, the Overlord one, facing the starter deck from D with Bruce. Although the starter deck is not fully shown yet, because there will be some other cards that will get revealed, we thought it would be very interesting to put these matches against each other. I've already made a video where I talked about my conclusions of these games, but in this video I will show you that in a match so you guys would see it for yourself. And there are some big differences between these decks, with the amount of shield that this deck has comparison to this one, and the amount of multiple attacking that this deck could do comparing to this one is strange and interesting at the same time. Although these two decks will never face each other in a format, because this is D, this is V, and although they could face each other in premium, there is no reason to build these decks the way they are in premium. But there are two links in the description section below that you guys could check before you watch this video. The first one is where I talked about how does this deck look like and what choices did I make to put in, because of course not all the cards are revealed yet. And there is the other video where I talked about the conclusions. So we will see how this match will turn up. We will play a full 3-game match. Why? Because it's interesting to see when a deck goes first and what it could do with that. And also there are some things that will make the biggest difference, like this deck having their PGs is very important, because without your PGs you do not have much defense. And this deck on the other hand needs to get some triggers during the damage checks, or triggers in general in hand, because that will make a huge difference as well regarding the multiple attacking. Alright, so we now shuffle the Bruce deck. So the Bruce deck is ready. This is our right deck, of course, you've already seen it. And this game will be an open hand game. So we will have all the hands open and then we play from that. Why do we do it this way? First, because of course we have to be very, very cautious because of this malicious, crazy disease that we have right now. And the second thing is that I actually thought it would be interesting for you guys to see an open game and the choices that I make. Although each player will make different choices and you never know which are the right one, except when you play a deck for a very long time, then you would know. So yeah, for that, let's start the game. So both decks are shuffled, both decks are ready. Start with the starter, and the other 3 cards will chill right here, which is the right deck. And we will throw a dice to see who goes first. We will give Spike and we will take Nuba right here and see who goes first. It's a 6 against 3, which means that the Kagero deck will start against a Dark State. Alright, so let's see what our starting hand will be. And as you can see right here, we don't have an Overlord. I talked about this in the video, and I told you guys that the Overlord will actually make a huge difference getting into the hand. So we will keep these two, return 3, and search for the Overlord. Oh, this is not that good. Oh, this is really bad. But it is what it is, and that's one of the things that makes the Overlord deck less good than the Bruce deck, is because the Overlord deck has no consistent way to ride into the Overlord. Although getting this first is okay, because you still get a force marker, and then when you get back into your Overlord, you'll be good to go. When the Bruce deck goes second, that's when the starter would actually be better. Why? Because the starter from the V deck actually give you a draw. It doesn't matter when you go first or second, and if you go second, you also get the ability to get your quick shield. But this starter doesn't do much if you actually go first. Alright, so when we see this hand, the only thing that you want to keep on hand is actually the Perfect Guard and the Bruce. Why is that? Because any other piece you could get that later on in the game, and because you have the right deck. So the whole mulligan thing actually becomes very different than when we used to know it. And even drawing cards like these is not bad because you will discard them. And now we have the bruise. So if we have returned only 3 cards, then we would never, or we would not get the bruise. So we shuffle right here again. Just give it a quick shuffle, and we should be good to go. Here we go. He cut right here, and he cut right there. Here we go. All right, so the hands we'll put right here. So you guys will see it, and if something goes to the back row, I will just move them up a little bit, so it would still be good for you guys to see. Sorry for the glare a little bit on this side, but it is what it is. All right, so stand up, hang out. So we start with the Kagura because it got, of course, the first. So draw for turn, and now we could write into any of these. Although this deck actually could rush, it doesn't really see it much having 5 Vanguard, so you could just go with this ride and draw from the starter. We draw a PG, that's a good thing, and then it's next. So draw for turn. Right here we discard the draw trigger, and we could write from the right deck, and let's put them like this. So you get the access to go to the great one, and now you activate the skill of Steve. But before we do that, we could also activate the skill of the starter, because now we go second, we get the actual extra draw, and then the Steve skill kicks in to calling the starter in the back row, and then you get the ability to soul charge 1. Alright, right here we could call something to the field, but we don't have except our perfect guard, which is something we don't want to call. These are the 2 cards that you definitely want to keep in hand. So right here you could attack, boost with the starter, because why not? And for the Overlord deck to guard this attack, they will need like a 20k shield heal trigger or something, or do a 1 to pass, but they don't even have a 15k, so they would let this one go through. Drive check, it's the order card, and with that, they take 1 damage. Alright, so let's put the damage right here so you guys would see it. Here we go. And that's the end of that turn. So it goes back to the Kagura player, draws for turn, another draw trigger, not that good. Right into the only grade 2 that they have. And now they could put a little bit of pressure on the field, but they could also wait a little bit. With this hand, you actually would just rather keep a little bit of shield value because you really don't have much. But having the 2 draws, the 2 grade 3s, this is really not a good hand. So you attack. And right here you could actually defend for 15k because you don't want to take a crit to the face, and you don't really need the damage. So no pass right here, drive check, in Harlem is good, and no damage check. Right, so stand again and draw for turn, draw a heal. And right here I like to discard my order card because I don't really feel like an order card is important in this deck. But I have to play it because otherwise you play a 94 card deck. So we ride into the Richard right here, activate the Richard skill on place, put 1 of your regards into your soul, and then you draw a card. It's good, we drew the Overlord trigger. Although people actually dislike drawing into the Overlord trigger in this matchup, I don't really mind because it's a huge shield and it's really not bad to have him in hand. It's also not bad to rush a little bit with this deck, but you have to keep in mind what you will do in the next turn, because in the next turn we don't really have anything that we want to call, because we want to keep this for the turn after that, and for that we actually really don't have much to call. So you would keep this on hand or calling it on the field, it's up to you. I think I will take my chances because I will get a drive check that I draw at the start of my turn, so maybe I will draw something that could attack. Alright, so right here you can attack first with a Vanguard or the Vanguard, depending on the amount of front you have seen. I've already seen 1, so I attack first with this. And again, this deck could actually not defend, so they will let the attack go through. Hope on the trigger so this would not hit. Drive check, heal trigger, didn't take any damage, which is sad, but this is what it is. And let's get the extra 10k, and we have more shield on hand, but no attacking unit. So maybe we will have to defend this one. Kagura would have to take a damage right here, is nothing, so this attacks, and they would have to take this attack up as well, which is stupid, but it is. They could also do this to guard the attacks, also possible. So here we go. We guard this one. Stand and draw a New Holland, not bad. Right. Getting the force marker right here, give it to the Vanguard. And yeah, you could call the New Holland. New Holland skill, if you don't know, its own place, count +1, choose one of your opponent's rear guards in the back row and retire it and get +5k. So they have nothing in the back row, but yeah, but what do you want to do in this case? You could also just call the grade 3 and hope to get the Overlord to the hand, and that would be your next ride. Or you write this grade 3 as the next ride and you have more markers. Depending on your playstyle, actually I would just like to call the New Holland right here and keep the grade 3 on hand because we have a second Holland on hand. Alright, so right here we will just attack. So we'll attack first with the New Holland or the grade 3. What you do is attack first with the grade 3, because if you get triggers you could give it to the Holland, and if not you could still hit him or him, because if they get a trigger they would not be able to give both of them power except a front trigger that will make it different. But the Kagero player will take this chance, so they will attack right here, the Vanguard, and he will also get the extra 5k, but yeah, it doesn't really make a big difference right here because they will not guard the attack. So drive check 1 is nothing, drive check 2 is nothing, and still no Overlord. So damage check right here is a crit trigger, and now it doesn't really matter who you give the power to because you have to guard the second one. So let's give the power to the Vanguard, and right here in Holland will actually attack the Treasure's Black Panther. Now right here it's only a 5k shield to guard, so you could waste one of your 15k shields, or you could let the Treasure's Black Panther go. For me, I actually would like to keep him, so because they know we have a heal in hand, we'll guard that. So we stand and draw another crit. So we now need access to our Bruce. We will giving a lot of shield for that, but yeah, again, it is what it is. We will not give up this beast. So we drop one of our crits and we get the Bruce. The first time you go into Bruce, he pretty much does nothing, so you will just attack. So we'll attack face, and right here the Kagero player still has nothing. This is just so sad that they didn't really get anything, even not any shield value. So they would have this attack go through because they don't have a 15k shield to do a twitch pass. So first, it's nothing. Second, easy front trigger, which gives your front extra 10k. Kagero will take 1 damage, and then this will attack the Vanguard as well. It's 15k, still no shield value, so they will have to take this attack as well. Some people could argue and say you could have put the 15k shield right here to stop this attack. Let's do that, let's not get hasty. Although we took the damage, it's okay. So here we go. Hope we get to the Overlord to give this deck a little bit of a boost. So stand and draw, it's a crit, it didn't really make any difference. Now we ride and we get another force marker. Let's give it to the Vanguard, and let's call some Vanguards right here. So 1 is enough, we keep the rest on hand. And now let's do an attack. So right here, what will the Bruce deck do? Well, they could actually take this and try to guard that one. As long as it's not an Overlord, it's okay to take it. So the first drive check, second drive check is a heal trigger, which will go off. That's a good thing, and we'll give the power to the Vanguard. And this will put the Overlord as a little bit of an advantage right here. 1 damage, this will attack. This will also get the extra 5k. So this will be a lot to guard, so they will take that damage. Now it's really sad that we took a Bruce as a damage right there, but again, it is what it is. Stand and draw. Right, so now we get into the skill of Bruce. At the start of your right phase, which we are right now, you come Final Rush. So now the Bruce deck is in Final Rush, and to do that we will put the dice right here in the middle, so we know we are in final rush. You could do it whatever you want to do it. I think I will do it with the dice on my Vanguard or on the deck or somewhere that people know you're in final rush. Right here we could finally write, so we persona write, and then you get to draw, and you get to give your front row extra 10k. Put that right there as well. And now we call the Colossus, which is the Gear Juggernaut. We activate his ability by soul charging 1 and a Count Blast paid to give him the extra 15k shield, which makes this a huge attacker. We could put some others on the field as rearguards as well. That's good, especially on this side, because it would make a little bit of difference, but there is no reason to put it on that side, just keep them on hand. So right here, he will get the extra 5k because Steve is also in final rush, because we are in final rush. Alright, so we attack with the weakest first. This is only a 10k shield for your opponent to guard, which they actually have. They could intercept and throw in a Harlem right here, but they will give up their attackers. They could also do it differently by giving a 15k shield, but I think in this case they would actually rather have as much shield as they can. So they will go away, and this will attack, and they will let this attack go through because this is huge. So 1 damage taken to the face. Bruce will attack right here, activating his ability by soul blessing 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And with that, you restand your front row. Kagero deck right here could actually try to defend this attack by putting like a yield trigger and the 5k, but they could also just try to take this attack and then guard the other two, because that would be easier. They still have the perfect guard, and maybe they get some triggers. Although this is the weakest attack, they could still let this one go through. So for the drive check, first is a draw trigger. Let's power up this bad boy even more, and we draw 1, and the second one is a heal trigger, which will actually go off, and the power will go on this side, and that would be 1 damage, which will also give this power. Alright, now we attack first with this or the other side. Still almost as strong. They would let one of them go through, and they would actually have to guard the other one. So in this case, this is 10, 20, 30, 38, 43, 43, a lot. This is 23, 33, 43, and an extra 5k to guard this attack, or they would have to give another 15k shield, so 5k shield more, but they let this on hand. In both scenarios, actually the Kagero deck or the Overlord deck is losing right here, because they didn't have the Overlord. They didn't really have a good defensive hand at the start, and for that they actually are losing the game. So let's say that they are doing it right like this, and then that would be the end of turn. All the dice go bye bye, stand, draw. Finally the Overlord. Right into Overlord, give him his marker, Soul Blasts, to give him the extra 10k. Call in your Harlem. It's also called right here. Activate this ability, +1, retire. Give him an extra 5k. Call this right here and go a little bit all out, because yes, no, there is no other reason to not to. So Overlord will attack first, and that's when your perfect guard will come in handy, or your over trigger. In this case, I would actually just like to use my perfect guard, discard the draw trigger, drive check, 1, nothing, 2, a crits, not bad, but not effective. Power and crits. 15 will hit the rearguard because it's 10k shield for this deck to guard, and because you know they don't have 10k shield, they actually would have to give up 15k shield right here. But I would let the attack go through because we still have a good attacker right here. Alright, and now you can attack with this. This is the one that has the crit. You also get the extra 5k, which makes him a huge attacker actually, because this is 18, 28, 38, 38 to the Vanguard. If this deck will have to guard it, then they would have to put a 15k shield right here, which they would, because they don't want to take a crit to the face. But if you take this, they have to think about guarding the Overlord later on. So actually taking this may not be a bad idea, because you will need all the shield value that you have for guarding the Overlord, because you don't want the Overlord to attack twice. Alright, so let's take it right here. It's a draw trigger, that's good. Power and draw. The second damage is another draw. Wow. Okay, this Bruce deck is getting a little bit lucky. Stand and draw. We draw a Bruce. Whoa. Okay. This is quite good. We could make something out of this. We have one soul. First we get into final rush right away at the start of the right turn. We ride, and that's when we get the extra 10k. Oh, this is a okay. And we draw a card. I draw a PG. It's also very good. And now we could count the amount of soul that we have. We actually are one in short, because even if we put this on the field, that will not be enough to give us the complete soul, but that's fine. I mean, we will have that for next turn, although we could have kept the Bruce on hand, because that would be the next turn. You will have the extra 10k for the multi-attacking, but we think we could finish this deck off in this turn. We still put this on the field, and because we actually want to create that soul, we put this on the field, but for argument's sake, because some people would not like having this in the deck, we could also just put a 10k right here, and we could also put this on the field for a little bit more attack. We have enough shield value on hand, so we are actually definitely not scared. Because we got the extra 5k, and then we could attack right away. So let's attack with this. Activate the skill, Soul Charge 2. Oh, my bad. Hey, Soul Charge 2 copies of himself. And this is 18, 28, so this would be this. But again, the Overlord deck could not really guard much, so that's actually when they will face the problem of losing. Although they actually need only one heal to go through the next turn, because if you put this is 15, so with this, because this is 28, this would be 33, so this is guarded, and then they attack with the Bruce, and they would let this one go through, hope for a heal, and then PG the last attack. That's their best hope. So hope no crits first, second no crits, and the damage check is not a heal, it's a crit. And that's when you see that the Bruce deck will actually overpower the Overlord deck. So that was game one. Again, it was as actually a little bit as I explained in the video. There is no way for this deck to always ride into the Overlord. Although it has more shield value, it actually would lose to the multi-attacking that the Bruce deck could do. And the only thing that you will need to do is you need to have your Overlord very early as a first ride, and you could keep pressure your opponents, and with that you will win the game. And this deck, it doesn't really have that much shield value, yes, agreed, but we saw that drawing into your triggers is really not bad. We saw that the way you mulligan is actually very different, because you just mulligan into Bruce and your PGs. That's the only thing you want to do, because every other card that you get on hand is usable. If it's a trigger, then it's guard value. If it's something that you don't want to need, then you just discard it to ride. If it's just a grade 1 or a grade 2 that is not as necessary to have on hand, you just discard and ride. And your grade 2s could just chill on the field, because you will intercept with them anyway. And your grade 1, actually the same thing. You don't really have to keep your grade 1s on hand for the reasons that actually they don't really have much shield value. They just 5k. Alright, so we'll pause the video right here, and we will go into game 2. So I will show you how the game 2 deck game will go, and if the Overlord deck, by going first again, could win that game, then we will have a game 3. If not, then there will only be a game 2. So thank you guys for watching. Thank you for tuning in our channel. Thank you for all the support, the love you give to our channel. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, try to subscribe to the channel, like and comment. We always love to read your comments, so just don't hold back on those. So this deck is already shuffled and ready to go. We'll shuffle the Bruce deck and we'll start game 2. Till next time.